Hello, fellow hitchhikers, and welcome to this second video that I'm doing on Solarbots, looking at two different posts that have come out just recently, and going to do a little bit of a summary, going through them, looking at the mint that's coming up, the tokenomics of the game, and some of the other aspects. And I hope that this is something that you can enjoy listening to. First off, we have December 20th and 21st, we're going to have the mint that's going to happen. And this mint on the 20th and 21st will be for those that are whitelisted. I believe there's going to be 1,000 mints during the whitelisted process, or up to 1,000. And then there'll be 9,000 more mints that are available for the public mint on the 22nd. Now, the whitelist gives you the advantage of you're not going to be caught up in a gas war. There may even be some design within the 22nd mint that it won't be a huge gas war. But either way, when you have 10,000 mints happening, invariably there's going to be a fair number of people that are there just for the quick flip. They're not committed to the project. They're not long-term, especially in that public mint part. And they will start selling on OpenSea, the secondary market, at a very high price. And from what I've seen in other projects, it comes with a little bit of a race to the floor to see who can flip. And then there's a bit of a lull, and there will be an opportunity to sort of sweep within that floor and pick up some. So I'd be less worried about trying to get in on that public mint and more worried about not getting scammed, because you know that during that mint, there's going to be fake ones that appear on OpenSea, so make sure you're using the official links, and going to be a little bit of FOMO and panic and all that kind of stuff. Take your time, but make sure you're buying the right thing and get in on a price that's appropriate for you and something that you can hold for a couple of years. The mints themselves will be random. One mint is going to give you 4 random solar bots, but they will be a team, a playable team. So it'll have the healer and the tank and the damage dealers and whatnot. So it'll be a playable team. There'll be random factions. You got to remember, within the lore where we are right now at the beginning of the solar bots, we are dealing with the abyss, and we have a massive common enemy. So there's no time for worrying about who's in which faction. It's about coming together and engaging in that battle. So your solar bots will, you'll get 4 of them, but they'll be from different factions possibly. So that results in a total of 40,000 solar bots that will be created. You can see here there was 3,000 people that joined the Discord in the first 24 hours. And I did hear in the interview with Baronar there that there's a possibility that maybe they'll early release some of the Mark II solar bots in order to appease demand, if there is still a demand. But that was more just a side chit-chat conversation. And of course, I'm really happy to see that they're shifting from this concept of play to earn and really focusing in on play and earn, that they're trying to design a game that is fun and is something that they would want to be part of, and are utilizing that blockchain technology where it would make sense in an open economy. So really looking forward to the mint that's coming up. Jumping over to the tokenomics, I think there's some key takeaways that we want to see from this second post that also came out on the December 10th. First off is that they are looking at very distinct options for people that want to get involved. So you can have those people that want to be involved in the battling, and it's all about the battling. And then you're going to have those that want to be more in the area of crafting. Some of the solar bots, they will only be able to do one or the other. So the solar bots will be for crafting, and you'll have crafting parts and not be used in battle. And I really like that. I know that's one area in some of the other games that I find that, because, well, if I'm not successful in this one aspect, then I can't really play the game. But I like the game. I just don't have a place for me. So I like that there's two very distinct streams. And then, of course, there'll be that sort of a third way, which is the meta of the game, where you're playing with providing liquidity and, staking and mining and all of that on the DeFi side of the game itself. All of the transactions that you do within the game will incur a fee of the fragments of the abyss, the FOA, and those fragments are going to go to 2 different wallets or areas, I guess you would look at, and that's the treasury and the foundation. So whenever you see foundation, the foundation is the developing team, and they are the ones that need to make sure that this is worth it for them, that they are going to be able to stay committed for a long period of time, and they get their portion. So no problem with the foundation amounts. And then the treasury is an interesting concept. So the treasury is going to build up quite a war chest of fragments of the abyss, which will act as a little bit of a sink, a little bit of a set aside. But if you look at the token distribution model, it's good for 10 years. After 10 years, there's no more distribution. And at that point, we'll be quite decentralized, and we'll have this large treasury, and we may be able to dip into that treasury by community vote and look at giving more rewards from the treasury. So that's an aspect of the treasury. Then looking at job specific, you're going to have your own non-combat type of solar bot with job specific parts that allow the player to play various non-combat mini games around crafting and parts. Doing things will involve little mini games, little skill-based things that have their own tokens that go with them, and it's kind of like a little bit of a play within the crafting and whatnot, not just a click, click, click kind of thing, which can be fun, but there'll actually be some component of skill that goes with it. And you'll have to have specific solar bots or parts or whatever, I'm not sure, finer details, to be able to do those. Now, I think this is just a great idea. Proof of skill mining might be a new phrase or new term or new expression here. The idea is that there'll be a competitive nature in order to do these various things, whether it's the crafting or breeding. I don't really know all the mechanics that are going to be within the game, but while you're playing the game, there's going to be a certain amount of skill. And that can set the bar for how much distribution of tokens there will be. The amount of tokens and NFTs that'll be dropped each month are going to be based on like the skill rate, like a hash rate of the players. And because the players are competing against each other, they're going to try and increase that hash rate as high as they can so that they can get a higher proportion of those tokens or NFTs, much like the way miners compete in order to play fair, play honestly, and get the highest portion of the transactions, or in this case, drops that are happening monthly. There'll be some sort of minimum rate, a threshold that you have to be able to play at in order to qualify, and then prove that you are engaged and contributing, and then you'd get your portions. I'm hopeful that this will also help reduce bots, because now you're going to have a variety, or at least humans that you're going against, and maybe that will be an aspect. Land is really exciting. I'm quite excited about the aspect of land. And so to start, you're going to have two things to consider inside the capital city housing plots. So for example, just player housing. Now, player housing isn't just like one player. There will be in both player housing and guild housing the ability to add floors. So you'll be able to spend souls and add floors to be able to then create more space for more players, and you can rent those out to other players, but you'll also have a maintenance fee in order to keep those floors active. So if you are looking at playing on your own, and maybe even want to be part of some collective group, sort of unofficial guild, then player housing is a great spot to be. There was some pricing on these earlier on this webpage, and I noticed after a day they took them off. So I don't know if the pricing is just incorrect, or if they're still figuring out the amounts. But anyways, so when land comes out in the new year, some point in the Q1, then you can look at player housing, which I think will be an affordable amount, and guild housing, which will be quite a bit more expensive. The advantage of the guilds is that you get a commercial facility per floor, and you can pay souls to add floors if you so want. Now, what is the commercial facility? Well, there's going to be an in-game marketplace. And when players use the in-game marketplace, there will be a discounted fee, so it'll be cheaper than the out-of-game marketplace. But also, the commercial transactions for the inside the marketplace will happen inside these guild facilities. So why would I offer that? Well, as a guild operator that has a commercial facility, I get, I think I read or heard somewhere that you get about 25% of the fees. So players use the marketplace, they pay a certain amount of fees. Let's just say it's 4%. Then maybe 4% when you use the in-game marketplace, 5% when you use OpenSea or some sort of out-of-game marketplace. So you have two different rates for the transaction. Then of that transaction, I get, say, 25% of that 4%, which would add up quite a bit if I have maintained and providing a good commercial facility for the players. A guild hall or a small guild with commercial facility, if you're engaged in the game and you're spending your souls and you're adding some floors, you could really have quite an important role in the marketplace. Excited about that? And that's just within the game play itself. That's not even just looking at the token distribution that's going to come. This FOA is not going to be sold. There's not going to be a big auction or opportunity to buy all these FOA tokens. You actually have to, you're going to be getting them through, I guess it's like an airdrop, basically a distribution to people that hold Solarbot assets. So what are the different assets and what would you get with the different ones? Well, the foundation, as I mentioned earlier, is the dev team. So they're going to get 30% of the FOA tokens and they'll be locked up for a year and then they get 3% per year afterwards. It's in their interest that the FOA token goes up in value in terms of utility and function and, of course, economic value. Then the bootstrap fundraising. I was a little bit confused at what this is, did some digging and found out. So the bootstrap fundraising are essentially your VCs. They're the people that have provided the money up front to hire the staff to put this white paper together, to start working on the minimal viable product and whatnot. So they're being given 9.6% plus some more after a 5-year lockup and so on. So about 10% is being given to these original founders that have provided the funding. That seems reasonable. And they're also going to get some other amounts. So let's get to where us mere mortals play and participate. The Housing Loyalty Fund, 12,000 plots. Those are those original player housing within the city, 12,000 of those. And when they go up for sale, and I think it's going to be sort of January, February, there'll be 6% of the total amount of FOA that's available will be distributed among those 12,000 plots. So if you take how much FOA there is total, and I don't have that number handy, and then you take 6% of that and then divide it by 12,000, that's the amount of FOA that you will get after that 1-year lockup. And then you'll continue to receive 0.6 per year. So owning a player housing will give you a certain amount. And I probably will maybe in a different video grab a spreadsheet and sort of figure out, what is the maximum play here in terms of receiving FOA distribution. But I imagine the more you spend, the more you get. But I'll get some actual numbers maybe in there. Then if you look at the guilds, so each of the small and the medium guilds both receive 1%, but there's only 15 medium guild plots, but there's 30 small guilds. So the medium guilds will get twice as much compared to the small guilds because there's half as many plots. But again, owning the guild land for a year will give you that initial drop, which makes sense. I mean, you have missed opportunity cost. You're buying this land or you're buying this guild, and you have to hold it for a year. And there's other things you could have done possibly. So I like it, to distribute it to those that are committed from the beginning. Now, why not, wait till later to release the land? I think in part because it fits the storyverse. You're in the land when you're playing. But I also think there's a chance for growing the community a little bit organically. Hopefully, it's not just a couple whales that have everything, but you get a diverse community that has a vested interest, that's committed to holding these assets and contributing in conversation, contributing in support, and in just community building that'll happen over that year while we also play the game, because there will be a game coming out in the first quarter of 2022. So where are we realistically going to be is in the Mk.1 Solarbots. So this is what's happening in the mint, and definitely hope to get some. And there's 40,000 Solarbots from the 10,000 mints, because each mint produces 4, and they are valued at an initial value of 0.05 ETH per bot. So the mints are going to cost 0.2 ETH because you're getting 4 Solarbots. So 4 times 0.05, you're going to get 0.2 ETH plus gas in order to mint. And then we'll see what the secondary market does afterwards. I imagine it's going to go up a lot and then slowly drift down, and then people will sweep the floor and then it'll bounce all the way around. And depending on how the game is received, and you're looking at a year. So there will be opportunities to get some deals, I imagine. I'm hoping and planning. Anyway, so 10%. So the same amount that's being distributed to the people that provided the original funding for the bootstrapping, that same 10% is being given to the players that by the Mk.1 Solarbots. And the Mk.1 Solarbots are going to be a fixed NFT, so they're not going to be changeable in the NFT of the arms and the legs and the base and all that kind of stuff. However, you will be able to equip and change the abilities of those arms and legs by adding different parts or things that they can hold in their hands and whatnot. But they get the staking rewards. Mk.2 Solarbots will not receive this FOA distribution that happens after a 1-year lockup and then 1% per year. Now, Mk.0, these are the Solarbots that will introduce new parts to the ecosystem. From the interview, I get a sense that there's going to be about 12 or so Mk.0 Solarbots released each year. And I think they're going to be sold through an auction. I don't know. I kind of just heard that little piece there. Either way, they're going to be incredibly rare. They're going to be quite expensive, and they're going to receive a significant amount of the FOA distribution after the 1 year. You can see if, let's say there's 12 of them and there's 10% that's being given out in the first year, that's like 1% of the FOA on that first year just by owning a Mk.0 Solarbot. So depending on what the auction and how much they go for, of course I'd love to get one, but I think anyone that's got deeper pockets and is analyzing this and believes in the project and wants that FOA, this is it'll pay for itself, possibly, or not. I mean, maybe the game goes down, but we'll see. So the Solarbots themselves, when you mint them, they are going to be either male or female. And there's, of the male and female, there's a big and a little. So you have a big male Solarbot, a little male Solarbot, big female, and little female Solarbots. That doesn't seem to be critical at the start, but I'm imagining there's going to be some sort of breeding mechanism or not. I'm not sure. Either way, they will be minted on the main chain. So there will be gas, and they may eventually go to a side chain just in terms of all of the transactions and all of the tokens, and maybe just the crafting will be on a side chain or the whole thing will be on a side chain. But they're not starting there. They're starting on main chain on ETH. And I think ideally they'd love to build their own side chain, or maybe take an existing side chain and clone it and have some sort of collaboration. Talking about collaborations, listening to that interview with Baronar, I cannot believe that Cyberkongs may be doing a collaboration, especially with their banana economy. Cyberkongs is one of those things that I kind of saw and heard about. I'm like, I don't really want a monkey or an ape for my profile pic, whatever. And I just kind of ignored it. And boy, that was a mistake. Anyways, so some great people over in that community. Excited to hear that there may be some collaborations. That just makes our community that much deeper, that much stronger. But I do hope that there's a way that I can participate equally. Otherwise, I do feel a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of being pushed out, but I'm sure they will balance all of that. I will add one little comment here. So they're saying a 1-year lockup, but I've read and I kind of heard that it's or when crafting comes out. So depending on timelines, it's quite possible that these staking rewards may come sooner, or they might come a little bit later. So it's when the crafting is ready and crafting is able to come out, because you're going to need to have FOA tokens in order to pay the fee in order to do the tokens. So these timelines, I think, are more guidelines than set timelines. When we get into next year and you have the crafting going on and you have your Solarbots, then you're going to be earning these souls. You're going to start spending them and burning them. And a lot of that is going to go to upgrading the NFTs and go to the crafting process, the renting of the floors, upgrading other tools. They'll be used for a whole variety of ways in order to burn those souls. They have quite a long list of ideas. Everything from making board games in the real world, to enhancing your Solarbots, to enhancing your guilds and your houses. There's a nice interplay that's going on from the Storyverse, kind of inside the Solarbots metaverse. So I guess the metaverse would be the in real life kind of experiences that we have, and then we have our Storyverse and our in real life, where we maybe have the board games or the shirts or the manga or the whatever that's going on, the tangibles that we can touch, the figurines, and then the storyline that's happening within the Storyverse. So all the lore. So very excited about that. You get into the end of Q. I'm just going to give you a couple more things. I'm just going to jump over to the white paper here on the timeline, just to do a bit of a recap and a forward glance, and then we'll wrap things up here. But so we have the Solarbots coming out and the capital city guild housing plots for sale, and that's all happening over the next 2-3 months. There'll be some minimum viable playable product that we're going to be able to play and start some cross collaboration on the storyline, some contests built, some community contests, community building events. Then we get into Q3, and at that stage, all of the NFTs from that point on are going to come from community minting. So it will be from upgrading body parts, from getting gems. The gems will come in different colors and they're going to have different abilities. The sockets on the body parts of the Solarbots, there'll be sockets in which you can mount these gems. They're going to have different cuts. And depending on which cut and which color, you're going to be able to upgrade your abilities. The stats themselves of these different aspects can be re-rolled, all by burning souls tokens. Lots of sync opportunities for the souls and lots of exciting things that the players can do and experiment and expand. And it'll all be a completely open economy. That's kind of our 1 year marker, sort of end of 2022, and we're rolling out crafting and the economies and the guild halls and all of these kind of things. And yeah, so we may see some Mark II Solarbots come a little bit sooner if there's huge demand. That's exciting, and that way that people can play the basic PvE game that's going to be starting. And when we get down to like Mark III, Mark IV, now we're starting to talk about, animals or giants or fully infinitely customizable Solarbots, as opposed to, like the Mark Is, they're customizable in parts but not in appearance. So I hope that helps give you just a sense of the minting that's coming up here, then the land that's going to be coming, the different types of land, and then why you would want to hold on to some of these assets, A, to be part of the community, be connected to the storyline, B, the FOA token drop that's coming in the future, and a sense of the timeline. Like this we're talking a year or months. This is a slow-moving, committed, growing project that I'm excited to be part of right from the very beginning. I hope you found this summary helpful. Maybe you're driving to work or you're just listening to the audio and haven't had a chance to read these announcements and get a handle on everything that's going on. So as always, keep track of your towel and don't panic.